and thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome to my channel. Please hit that like and subscribe button so you can watch future videos with me and with Murders and Chill. And I just wanted to go ahead and apologize because the last time I tried to upload something for the Murdaugh Murders Part 4, you got the unedited version. I have fixed that and posted that now, so apologize for that. I am now finally out of the hospital. Little fact about me, I do have epilepsy, and I went in for a procedure which is called a video EEG. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to what it is, but I was in the hospital for about 5 days, but I'm back at it. I am here for you. So I am ready for this next story because, like, Murdaugh Murders and everything was great, but I feel like that just pulled everything out of me. It was just too much. Now, this next story, I do want to go ahead and give kind of a trigger warning. This case does involve physical, verbal, and sexual abuse. When I want to say the word that starts with an R and rhymes with tape, I'm going to be saying SA for sexual assault. So then that way everybody knows what is going on, and that way we don't have to use that particular word because I know YouTube does not like that. So moving on with our case, let's jump in. So this case begins with a woman by the name of Lorena Gallo. She was born on October 31st, 1969. Halloween baby, and this made her a Scorpio. Now, she grew up in Ecuador, and, you know, she had a very loving family. They were happy. You know, they were poor, though, unfortunately. So when it came time for her to have her quinceañera, which I believe is between the age of 15, 16, somewhere around there, her family couldn't afford it because, you know, those things are practically like weddings. Those things are super expensive. And so instead of that, they decided to tell her that in lieu of that, they will send her to America because she wanted to go there so bad. But unfortunately, there was problems with immigration and everything, so they couldn't send her right away. However, in the year 1987, she was so excited because she went ahead and got a student visa and got to travel to America, and she then lived in the city of Manassas and in the state of Virginia. She took care of herself and she supported herself as a nail technician and as a nanny to go ahead and live and do her everyday life. I did get a lot of my information from the Amazon Prime documentary labeled Lorena. Such a good documentary, mainly for one reason. It included Lorena and it included her ex-husband, John Wayne. Two people that are very important to this case, but they were both there giving their sides of the story, which genuinely is like shocking to me, and it's pretty rare given, you know, these documentaries, because a lot of times the people involved don't want to be in the documentary because then they have to answer questions that are maybe a little uneasy or awkward or painful. So the fact that they were both able to get in this documentary, really, that's good. I mean, I'll tell you my opinions, but it's good that you were so brave to go ahead and just show your vulnerability to everybody. That's what I'm saying. So next, what we need to do is introduce you to the man named John Wayne Bobbitt. He was born on March 23rd, 1967, making him an Aries. Okay, Aries out in the world. This is not for all of you, but a lot of the Aries that I have known just eye roll. Ridiculous. I can't. Anyway, we move on because this is not just about Aries. Not coming for all of you. I'm just saying this particular man was an Aries and just, I'm a little biased. So we're going to move on. Now, with him growing up, it was a little sad. Unfortunately, he had brothers and, you know, his mom and dad were there in the beginning. However, his father was abusive to the mother, both verbally and physically. And John got to see this, and he just kind of, you know, grew up seeing this. And, you know, it just is not a good example. And when his father actually left them, his mom had a mental breakdown and could not care for her children. She just couldn't. And so they all went to live with their uncle for years. And unfortunately, the uncle molested the children. And years later, they were able to be returned to their mother. She kind of got herself back on track kind of thing. And I believe the dad actually came back too. I personally am one of those where I truly feel bad for his situation because no one deserves that. Growing up, you should never have to see anything like that, experience anything like that, especially when you're a child. It's horrifying. Now, I am saying to the world right now that, like I said, abuse is not good. That's pretty cut and dry. Don't abuse people. It's just the rule of law. But my thing is, he was so self-aware about this that he should know not to repeat this cycle. Okay? He should know, hey, I've seen this before. It was distressing and awful in my life. Maybe I shouldn't continue that in the future. You would think, but people just do the stupidest things sometimes. So that's a little bit of the background for the both of them. And now what I want to do is tell you how the two of them met. So in late 1988, John had actually joined the Marines, and he was at a Marine Corps singles night ball, and he actually met Lorena there. And, you know, they had instant chemistry. They were dancing with each other. Everything was, you know, sunshine and roses. They exchanged numbers. They went on dates, and, you know, they did like cute dates, like let's go to an ice cream parlor, let's go to the movies, and they were chaperoned at all times because, you know, Lorena was very innocent and her family would not allow. Anyway, so about 9 months later, on 6/18/1989, they got married. Now, in the documentary, John, I think he's a liar, but whatever. He said that they only got married because she needed to have a student visa because it was expiring soon. I don't believe you. I honestly think you loved her, and if you didn't, then you're a terrible human being. Which, sorry, throughout this whole thing, I'm gonna think that because reasons that are coming up. It was said that when Lorena was first married with John, that she started to see a lot of red flags. Now, with him, one of the big red flags too, don't worry, there's bigger ones, but one big red flag was that he didn't work. He was discharged from the Marines for unknown reasons, and he didn't work. She was a nail technician, and she did a nanny job, and she was their sole source of income. She was the breadwinner. She paid for everything. He didn't do shit. I mean, even if he did something like rake leaves or clean out gutters, like in the neighborhood or something, at least he's contributing something. No, he's just a Marine deadbeat asshole. Sorry. Anyway, unfortunately, the bills actually started piling up because this is all just her income. She has no other money coming in. It's just her. And he's, like I said, kind of a deadbeat, and he drinks a lot of their money. She couldn't afford to pay bills. She had to steal $7,000 from her employer just to go ahead and make sure that her house wasn't going to be foreclosed. Unfortunately, even though she did steal the money later on, side note, her home was foreclosed, which is so sad. And he knew what was going on, and he still didn't do anything. What an asshole. But on a lucky side, the woman who owned the nail shop by the name of Jana Pescotti, I think that's how you say her last name, Pescotti? Anyway, she and Lorena actually became friends. They were really good friends, and, you know, unfortunately, she confided in Jana and was just kind of like, I'm so sorry I did this, you know, I don't have enough money coming in, and she just explained her whole situation. And Jana didn't want to press any charges against her. For one, she, you know, it's her friend. She didn't want to do this. Two, she couldn't get her money back. She wanted her money back with interest. And she also wanted to keep an eye out on her friend because she was always seeing her just erratic, and she always had bruises, and she just wasn't okay. So she wanted to, you know, just keep an eye on her. So she was able to keep her job, thank goodness, because I can only imagine what would happen if she went ahead and told John, hey, I got fired, or hey, this happened, or whatever. Another red flag is that shortly after they got married, about a month later, she was subjected to verbal and physical abuse, and she was also subjected to SA. And she said this went on for years. She, you know, would try to tell him to stop, and it only seemed to go ahead and make him want to do it more. He liked to watch girls squirm, and he liked force, apparently. What an insane asshole. Wow. Just, Anyway, she had actually called the cops on him about a half dozen times, is what the cops had said in the documentary. And each time they would come, they would arrest him, and then he would go ahead and maybe be in jail for a short amount of time. They would go ahead and release him. He would go back home, and the abuse would just start all over again. So it's kind of like, why even bother calling the police? Because it's almost going to go ahead and guarantee that you're going to have more issues. And half the time, whenever she had these incidents, she would get in her car, drive to her work, and sleep in her car and stay the night. Or she would go to neighbors' homes, so that way there wouldn't be an issue. Everyone knew what was going on. She was being abused for years. She was called ugly. She just fell into a depression. She had anxiety. It breaks my heart. It really does, because no woman should have to go through that. Your husband is supposed to love you and protect you. Your husband is supposed to lift you up when you're feeling down, and not the opposite. What's sad is that in some cases, even in the year 2024, SA and other forms of abuse aren't taken seriously. We've had to pass laws in order for us to go ahead and get attention, so then that way we don't have the cycle of abuse just over and over. Especially if you involve children, it's just, oh God, terrible. That's a big reason as to why women stay in these type of relationships too, because they feel like their children need a father, even though the father treats them awful. Don't ask me, man. You would always see marks on her throat because he was just choking her. And at this time, he was saying if she ever tried to leave, he would go ahead and tell immigration so that way she can get deported back to Ecuador. And, you know, she believed it. She was just like, oh my God, you know, I'm terrified of him. Like, maybe he might kill me. I mean, she was so scared of him. Like, she was afraid to do anything. She was afraid to breathe around him. Like, that's a horrible life. Horrible life. I truly felt bad for her. Anyway, unfortunately too, for battered women, she would wear very heavy makeup, and she would wear long sleeve shirts and just do everything to go ahead and cover up the fact that she was being abused, because she was embarrassed. And I'm sure it is embarrassing because you're having to admit that you picked wrong. And because you picked wrong, it looks bad on you. And she was also, I believe, Catholic. So divorce does not look good on them. Divorce is almost like you just failed. And that's not the case here. Your husband is just an awful piece of shit. Funny enough, too, this will come up in the trial later, too, but just this little tidbit coming up. He would say that he would shove or restrain her because she would try to attack him. I'm sorry, no. In the documentary, you could see how, like, little she is, and everybody in the documentary would say she weighed like a $105 kind of thing. That she was a very small, fragile woman. And if there's any kind of scratches on him or any kind of issues at all, she probably was doing it in self-defense. And I'm sorry, if someone's attacking me, I'm gonna, like, you know, do this kind of shit. I'm not gonna go ahead and just, like, this kind of thing. I mean, you know, it's just instinct. He tried to put the blame on her, and I hate him so much. He also abused her vaginally and anally, and he did that without her consent. He actually used force. He didn't use any lubricant, and he did this without her consent. She was screaming, she was bleeding, and she was crying. And he said that if she ever stepped out of line or didn't do what he wanted sexually, then he would do that to her all over again just to punish her. Wow. Husband of the year. Fucking, I swear to God, I choke him, see how he likes it. Now, given their history, I do want you to remember this next part that is coming up because it's very important. They had actually started to talk about divorce, which was okay. They were sort of meeting in the middle a little bit, we think. And on June 21st, 1993, she filed a restraining order. Good job, girl. Good job. However, just because there's a restraining order doesn't necessarily mean that people always follow it. So she was packing up all of her stuff. She was living with the neighbor. She would actually just, you know, be in that apartment with him to sleep. And that was it, because a lot of times he was out of there anyway. He was half the time just like at the bar, doing whatever, being stupid. And she was at the apartment. She was asleep. And he came home from the bar at about 3 o'clock in the morning. They had their friend Robbie staying with them at that time. He was asleep, probably on the couch. And John got into bed with Lorena. And according to Lorena, he SA'd her. And while he was on top of her, she kept saying how she couldn't breathe and kept saying, you know, why are you doing this? Stop. Why are you doing this? And apparently he just ignored her and just kept what he was doing. And then just afterwards plopped on the side, you know, with his back on the bed and just, you know, fell asleep, I guess. And I was like, how could you do this? Just how? Sorry, but I don't know. This next part, I will say, is crazy, because it is. It's just crazy, and this shouldn't have been done this specific way, probably, but she got her revenge. Because unfortunately, given the years of this, and given the fact that she got a restraining order 2 days before this particular day, she still felt trapped. She still felt like she has called the police. She has gotten a restraining order. She has done everything she possibly could. She's got PTSD. She's got depression. She's got anxiety. She is trapped. This poor woman feels trapped. Well, we're gonna get into it now. So, 6/23/1993, he's asleep. She gets up to go to the fridge to get a drink of water. She opens up the fridge. There's the light. Light is illuminating on a knife. Interesting, because at this point, she blacks out. Doesn't remember at all what is going on. But then she comes to, and what happened? She is driving, and she is driving with John's penis in one hand and a knife in the other. That's right, boys and girls. She chopped off his penis and got the hell out of there. It was nationwide shock, and I'm mainly doing this video too, because normally I do murders kind of thing, or serial killers, whatnot. But with this, there were men who said that this is worse than killing him. Really? But at the same time, if that is really in a man's mind, I really feel like it should be brought up. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that if you didn't have a penis, you shouldn't be able to live? I don't know. I sincerely don't know. I'm not a man. I don't know how someone would feel, but I think that they're insane. Especially his brother. John's brother, he had said if he was around her when all of that was going on, he would have killed her. John's family is terrifying. Like, I have watched interviews and everything, and his family is terrifying. And John, most of the time during these interviews, just kind of stayed quiet. It's so eerie. Anyway, we're gonna go back. So, she is driving, penis in one hand, knife in the other. She kind of comes to and figures out, oh my God, this is insane. What have I done? And then she unrolls the window, takes the penis, and throws it into a field across the way from a 7-Eleven. I'm sorry. It is malicious wounding, but he got his. Anyway, she drove all the way to work, and she's still like in this state of weirdness kind of thing. She's knocking on the, door to her work, and of course there's nobody there. It's like 3:30 in the morning, and she's just like, oh my God, what do I do? Oh my God, what do I do? And then she noticed she still has the knife in her hand, and she's just like, oh my goodness, what do I do with this? So she throws it in the garbage right over there. She gets back into her car, and then she drives over to her friend Jana Biscotti. I think that's how you say her name. And she drives to her, she stays with her, and she says, I cut my husband's dick off. And she was like, what? You did what? But Jana was a good friend. She told her to go to the cops and let them know, one, he violated the restraining order, and two, he SA'd her. So while she was with the cops, Robbie was awoken by John because his dick is gone, and he's like, take me to the hospital. And he is losing about 1/3 of his blood, which is scurry. I'm like, I hate you, but 1/3, that's a lot of blood. Anyway, so they get to the hospital, and she is telling the police what she did, because unfortunately they were like, hey, your husband is in the same hospital and this is what's going on. Do you know where the penis is? And she was just kind of like, maybe it's back at the apartment, because she couldn't remember anything. And then later on she's like, well, it might be in this field kind of thing. And it did lead them to the field across from 7-Eleven. However, the field was about knee high, so they had to search for a penis forever. And if they did not get that penis on ice to bring it to the hospital, who knows what would have happened? Who knows? Anyway, they did get the penis out from the field, wiped it off a little, and they went to the 7-Eleven, put it in a hot dog bag of all things, and they put it on ice to bring to the hospital. They were able to reattach it. Okay, well, good for him. With this surgery, he did come out, made a full recovery. However, at the time of the documentary, they said that at that point, they weren't sure if he was going to be able to have sex until 2 years from that date. And he was able to. Whatever, we'll get to him in a bit. After reporting the SA, they did also involve a starts with R, rhymes with tape, Kit. And she had confessed to the chopping of the penis. Her friend Jana was a true friend because she hired Lorena, a attorney, and she hired her a media representative because this was going to explode. This has never happened before. Nobody's ever chopped off a man's penis before, and it was going nuts. Media was a circus. Absolutely insane. While awaiting trial, she did in fact do an interview with Vanity Fair, just because that was the only magazine that wouldn't go ahead and tarnish her reputation. They would tell the story as what she says and not kind of misconstrued anything. So she did a interview with them. For some reason, she ended up in pictures in a bathing suit. All right, that's weird, but okay. I mean, it's not really too relevant to the story, but I still find it weird. Don't know how you feel, but I find it weird. Now that John was discharged, he was charged with SA allegations from Lorena. So he was arrested, but he was let out with $5,000 bond. So he just had to promise to appear at his trial, which he did. And at this point, at this trial, he is facing some jail time. Spousal abuse, depending on the situation itself, can lead to life in prison in Virginia, which is insane to me. I mean, like, you should go to jail if you abuse your wife, that's true, but life is just, well, I guess it depends on the severity of what happened to your wife, but it's still crazy to me. Like, but still, he should have gotten something. I'll go into it, but, you know, this should have been a fair verdict, and I don't think it was. Funny enough, though, little tidbit, during his trial, outside the courtroom, they were selling t-shirts, you know, about him, and there was TV channels just kind of making fun of the situation, making fun of Lorena, and just like how, kind of thing. And it's bad. It's not funny because the person got hurt, but it was funny. I know, I have dark humor. I'm so sorry. Dark humor. I'm a good person. I'm sorry. Overall, I'm a good person. Moving on. Anyway, even though we are trying to bring light to what John has done, his lawyer did bring points to his trial, you know, situations. For example, that Lorena's SA kit did not show outward signs of SA. Okay, and also when they went to collect evidence, they went ahead and found some of Lorena's underwear and it was torn. However, forensic science showed that someone had actually cut and then torn the underwear, making it look kind of weird and suspicious for Lorena. And given all of this, and given that everybody likes forensic science, myself included, but in this case, it makes me kind of, he was tried as not guilty. Verdict was not guilty. Should have gotten more. He should have gotten more. That's how I feel. But we move on. Now we're going to talk about Lorena's trial. Now, Lorena, in the very beginning of 1994, they actually went ahead and discussed having her get a plea bargain. But she refused to get a plea bargain because if she was charged with a felony, she could no longer be an American citizen. And if she wasn't an American citizen, she would be deported. So that was her whole deal there. So she wanted to fight. I'm like, well, gotta give it to her. She got guts. It's awful situation because there's two crimes here. There's SA and malicious wounding. SA for him was not guilty. I can't. Anyway, with Lorena's trial, she told her story to all of the forensic psychiatrists and psychologists, and they were able to evaluate her and basically see if she was having a psychosis kind of situation, if there was an irresistible impulse for her to do this, given her mental status. So they have to go ahead and do that. And she had friends and neighbors who would come up to the stand and talk on her behalf and say, yeah, there was bruises, there was this and there was that, and there was just trauma all across the board. How he would shove her against walls and all this stuff. And there was actually 2 male neighbors who came to her defense as well and said that they were friends with John, but John would tell them that he loved to watch girls squirm and he loved to force girls and all this stuff, and he liked to F them up the ass. What a winner! Fuckhead. But the fact that those 2 males came to her defense, round of applause, man, round of applause. Yeah, you rock. You rock. Anyway, we move on. What was also great was that the Hispanic community just started to see the things that Lorena had gone through, and they swarmed the courtroom and just went to bat for her. And, you know, she said that she didn't feel alone in this, and it's just great when you see things like this because I feel for her. I really did. During the documentary, I just didn't know what to do for her or how I felt, but she just, like, even when she was telling her situation on the, you know, stand, she was like hyperventilating, and just this poor woman, I couldn't. But anyway, given that forensic psychiatrists went ahead and evaluated her, they said without a doubt, she was out of her mind. She had psychosis. She was not within sound mind when she did this. This isn't something that she would normally do. And honestly, I believe it, because if this was a case of like, hey, she meant to do it, she probably would have killed him. I mean, Why have the knife to chop off the penis? Why don't you just... But, I mean, I don't know. It's not me. I'm not going to go ahead and say what I would do, what I wouldn't, because, you know, whatever. And during her trial, John actually had to go on the stand, and whenever they asked him questions, all of his answers were, I don't know, I don't remember. And there was a form that he had actually signed his name to stating that he had in fact hit his wife. And he looked at the paper, well, that's my signature, but I don't remember this form. I'm sorry, I was born at night, but not last night. Dumbass. Another thing that really broke my heart is that Lorena had actually really wanted to be a mom. She got pregnant with John, and John didn't want the baby. He forced her to have an abortion. During this abortion, he was just making jokes, and Lorena was just crying during this whole thing, and the nurse basically kicked him out of the room, and, you know, I feel like you should have the right to do what you want with your body. But in this case, she had no consent. He was just there. And he would force her to do this. And if she didn't, he'd probably beat the shit out of her. So she just probably figured this was the better way to go about it. One forensic psychiatrist, like I said, had stated that this was an irresistible impulse. Given all the people who went on stand and just her evaluation, one forensic psychiatrist who had evaluated her already but said that she was of sound mind actually turned around and said, I changed my mind, she was not in her right mind. So now you have two forensic psychiatrists who say that she was out of her mind. Two forensic psychiatrists who believe her. And because of forensic science, they were able to conclude that she needed help. She had PTSD, she had anxiety, she had depression, she was a mess of a woman, and it's heartbreaking. I mean, what she did was nuts. Like, she was, you know, swinging from the cuckoo tree, but I mean, you know, like, I think she was more afraid of his penis than she was of just his whole body or his hands or whatever, but it's just nuts. And given all of this evidence, the jury actually came out and stated that she was not guilty. However, given the malicious wounding, she had to go to a mental hospital for 45 days. She didn't really seem to understand that. She was kind of afraid to have to go to a hospital with crazy people, but at the same time, I'm like, honey, you did something crazy there, so you're gonna need to fix that. After getting out of the hospital, she said that this really helped her and she just wanted to start getting on with her life. And you know what? Good, because yikes, given the media and everything you've been through, I would just not even want to be a part of it. She did, however, try to go ahead and create a story of her life, how, you know, everything had happened, but Jana got a big majority of the proceeds and had so many shares that it took so much money away from Lorena. Lorena was heartbroken, and she went ahead and actually cut ties with Jana, given all of this situation. However, John, he decided to still just be in the media. Decided to work at a bunny ranch just to go ahead and have his name there, you know, as a figure, whatever. And he decided to go ahead and, you know, meet this other girl named Emily. He assaulted her, and he actually ended up in a county jail for this for 60 days. Funny enough, something would happen there, but okay. Probably thinking he can get away with it, dumb asshole. But yeah, I mean, John's fame kind of just fizzled out, you know, and I mean, he's still a guy who got his dick chopped off. Sorry, it's not funny. It's really not funny, but I love it when awful people get theirs. That's just, I'm sorry. That's who I am. Anyway, so he's just doing whatever it is he's doing with his life. And Lorena, she turned it around. She really did turn it around. She decided to go back to school, and she goes to women's shelters to kind of, you know, like I said, empower women to tell them that there is a way out, that they can go ahead and rebuild. You know, it doesn't matter what kind of situation you're in, they can help you get out, which was so empowering and so wonderful. I love that there are shelters out there now. It warms my heart that there's always a place for a woman to go. Anyway, so that's that there. Now, with Lorena, she actually did end up going back to school, and she met a man by the name of David, who was very kind, very sweet, and treated her with all of the respect in the world. She decided for herself that she did not want to get married, which, you know what? Honestly, after all the crap she went through, I don't blame her. If I had gone through all that, I wouldn't remarry. However, she was in a relationship with this man, and just because you're not married doesn't mean that you can't have a very strong connection with someone. And she did have a very strong connection with this person, and I honestly thought that, you know, given her reputation, there might not be a guy out there who wants to hang with her. I mean, you know, hate to put it out there like that, but I mean, I don't know. Anyway, like I said, David, wonderful, kind, understanding man. After all these years, Lorena became a mother, and that made me so happy for her, because you know what? She didn't put herself in the spotlight. She was happy to have a baby, to go ahead and just move on with her life, to be happy. She didn't need to have her face all over the media. She didn't need any of that. Funny enough, though, I mean, yes, she was in the documentary, which I'm sure she got money for, but it wasn't something that she is just, I don't know, she just doesn't seem as invested as John was. John was just like right and left, like, I'm crazy, I got my dick chopped off, I'm right here, blah, blah, blah. He was just in your face about it, and she was very serious about everything, was very, you know, like, hey, 2 crimes happened here, you know, she's moved on, like, it's something that did happen, but she's able to move past it, and she hopes that John is as well. Now, for the second thing in the documentary, which is exhausting, John decided to send letters to Lorena asking if they could get back together. Are you on the crack? Dude, she chopped off your dick. She don't want you no more. You are damaged goods. Bye. You mean she wanted to go ahead and find someone who wasn't a deadbeat asshole who beat her? Shocking. Anyway, now for him, when the people of the documentary went ahead and asked him, you know, why are you sending letters to Lorena after all these years? And he's pulling his normal stuff. Well, she sent me a letter first. I'm like, you sick son of a bitch. Just every time something happens, you blame the woman. Oh, I had to restrain her. This 105-pound woman. Fuck you. Anyway, he is, like I said, asking for her back, and at one point in the letters too, he's like, oh, we would probably make a lot of money if we had a baby together. I'm not saying that women should go around chopping off guys' dicks, but at the same time, as a woman, if I was in that situation, not gonna lie, if I didn't do that, I might have killed him. Not going to. Not saying that, so don't come for me, legal people. I'm just giving an opinion. So in conclusion, he's a dick. Will be a dick forever. Especially since he had his chopped off. And I'm sorry, but up until now, even years later, I still think he's an asshole. Real men don't hit women. Real men don't assault women. That should just be the things that you teach your sons when they have girlfriends or wives. That should just be known. It can go the other way around. which should be reported as well. But in this case, he was a much bigger man than she was, and she just didn't stand a chance, and she didn't have any peace until she did what she did. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying I think that might be the reason why she did everything. So I just want to thank everybody now for hanging out, watching my channel. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can watch future videos with me and Murders and Chill. And in the meantime, stay weird. Be safe.